Okay, so Arc Raiders might be the most hyped game of the year. Okay, fair enough. The second most hyped game of the year. But really, in the last few months, people have been showing a lot of excitement for this upcoming release. And to me, it seems like this insane hype train didn't slow at all after the server slam that happened last weekend. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Embark Studios, the company that created this game, recently gave everyone the opportunity to try the game for free for a couple of days. If you missed that, I'm sorry. Anyways, I spent a decent amount of time on this playtest, 15 hours to be precise, both playing solo and with a friend. And I gotta be honest, I'm a little bit conflicted. I liked the game, but with an asterisk at the end. Let me explain. So first of all, let me say Ark is an extremely high quality game. What I mean with that is if you look at things like the audio, graphics, servers, you can tell the people behind this game absolutely know what they're doing. Let's start from the audio. I mean, the sounds in this game are just wow. 11 out of 10. They make the game so immersive. And keep in mind, this is not a first-person game, so it starts with a little bit of a disadvantage when it comes to immersion. The game also looks great, and I also appreciated the design of the Dumb Battlegrounds map. Every building felt unique, and I like the fact that many places have underground areas. It adds more variety and it really makes the whole place more interesting. As for the servers, my experience was absolutely smooth 99% of the time. I know some people were experiencing game crashes, especially at the end of the playtest, but that was not the case for me. I also asked my friend how his experience was when playing with me, considering he lives on the other side of the world and he was playing with at least 200 ping. And it's funny because when I asked him that, he was like, wait, I was the one with ping? It's generally so smooth. And honestly, it's not even that surprising. This is not the first multiplayer title of Embark Studios, because these are the same folks that made the finals. Really underrated game, by the way. And the server's performance in that game is equally good. And also, this makes me pretty optimistic about a very important issue that plagues extraction shooter these days. Cheaters. I have 300 hours in the finals, and I just cannot remember one moment when I was like, yep, this guy is cheating. I'm not gonna say this is gonna be the same thing for Ark, but well, it's a good sign at least. Alright, so far so good. So you might be wondering why the asterisk? Well, I'm getting there. Just a couple more things to keep in mind. First of all, the playtest was not the full game. A lot of things were locked. We're talking 4 maps, pretty much 99% of crafting and upgrades, plus your player level was capped at 15, and there were a bunch of very important features just not available. More on that later. And the second thing I want to say is, listen, there's all kinds of gamers in this world, okay? And all the things I'm gonna say in this video are just opinions based on what I experience. You might disagree with me, and that's totally fine. So what went wrong? Well, I would say in the first 10 to 12 hours, nothing. I like to call that the exploration phase. You're learning a lot of new things, the map locations obviously, but also how to kill enemies efficiently, all the different weapons, grenades, healing items, or just generic loot you can find. And every time you find something new, well, that's exciting, but it also brings you a step closer to the existential crisis phase. And that's what happened to me around the 12-hour mark. You start to feel a sort of boredom, slowly but surely creeping up. You queue in for a match, but you don't really know what to do. Yes, maybe you have quests, but what's the point of completing them anyways if they just reward loot that you probably already have? And also, places start to become familiar. You know the loot you're going to find and where to find it. The only thing that really keeps changing is PvP. However, that might not be always a pleasant experience. Not that there's something wrong specifically about Arc Raiders, it's just the nature of extraction shooters. Sometimes you fight people that have better gear than you, sometimes you fight people that have worse gear than you. Oh, and to make things worse, when raiders die, they throw a very bright distress flare in the air that everyone can see. So get ready to be third-partied, especially if you're playing solo. And I'm not only talking about other players, I'm also talking about PvE enemies. And some of them are pretty tough and they will kill you. Yeah, I know, maybe rolling into a sticky grenade wasn't the best idea, but you get the point. But yeah, overall, it feels like after a while, you just have nothing else to do in the game except getting more loot just for the sake of getting more loot. That's it. However, there is hope because, as I said earlier, this was just a playtest and some very important things were locked. And no, I'm not talking about maps, crafting, more quests, because let's be honest, that's just kicking the can down the road. That's just making the exploration phase a little bit longer, unless you add new things like every day, but that's just unsustainable. Instead, I'm talking about two promising features: trials and projects. Trials are, quote, challenges that come in multiple difficulty levels, and if you perform well, you will be ranked on Speranza's radar leaderboards. This is promising because it enables player competition outside of the expeditions, and I can think of another extraction game that did something similar and it worked great. I'm talking about Dark and Darker, where players can trade items they found in dungeons. So in a way, they can compete to sell valuable loot outside of the main loop of the game, that is finding loot and extracting. The second promising feature are projects. Projects are designed to solve the problem of players accumulating too much loot. In short, the way this works is every 8 weeks you can decide to just wipe out all your progress in order to get some rewards. The details aren't really out yet, but this will hopefully give players something to grind for pretty much indefinitely, at least in theory. But yeah, the million-dollar question is, are these features enough to keep players engaged? One thing is for sure, the game is going to perform really well when it's going to be released. Arc Raiders has its appeal, like I said, so really well done, and all players will be in their exploration phase. The real question is this going to last? For a similar extraction shooter, the Cycle Frontier, the answer unfortunately was no. The game kept a pretty impressive 40k concurrent players during the first month of the release before crashing into the abyss and eventually getting shut down. I was one of those players, and I do remember enjoying the game at first and then getting bored. Same thing that happened with this playtest. So am I going to buy the game? Yeah, probably. There's like an 85% chance. However, what I will certainly do now is getting off the hype train and embrace the cautious optimism route. And you should do the same, because I think there is a chance that Arc Raiders might not be as